So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen and I'm the tiny one.
So today I want to talk about something that I feel excites people, lifts people, and gives them a focus.
That was my
drum roll.
Yeah, that was a drum roll.
Oh, the drum roll. Yeah.
Most likely
Kind of
have
like
that
a
another
brrr.
thingy on the dashboard thing here.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, that was a drum roll. Yep.
But that's becoming legendary. Winning, getting what you want, being the best, not just the best you, but the best of everything and everyone. And also talk a little bit about what's possible, who we are, and how well what we do works. Now, that was a mouthful.
That was a mouthful.
Now, in the integrated human, we talk about that, if you theoretically want to have a magnificent life, that you have to be good in all areas. But is that possible?
No.
No.
And I tried that for, how old am I? I'm 31. I tried that for 28 years.
Yeah, that's right.
It worked to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, you can be pretty good in many things.
You never get the, total commitment, total focus, total drive. Yeah.
So we basically have agreed when we've worked with our clients and talked to, athletes and sheiks and everything, that how many areas of the life can we really actually control and decide?
Unfortunately, only 3.
Yeah, about 3. And this is something that goes around. Now, people are like, no, that's not true. Yeah, man, it's pretty much true. So if you want to be the best possible mom and dad, you want to be the best possible at your job, you want to be you want to look fantastic, you want to have the physicality of a comic book figure, and you want to make sure that you never have any dust in your house because it's always in order.
Then you're going to follow up your mom, your dad, your siblings, the friends from high school.
Yeah, because you have to be a great mother, father, and aunt, and what else? Neighbor.
And of course, you're going to have to show everyone that you are superhuman. So you need, and that you just relax and have it nice. You need a hobby.
You need a super hobby, yeah. And you can't just do something fun, but you have to probably be able to sell your whatever you're doing in your hobby, right? For big money, and usually bigger money than your day job.
Yes,
of course, right? So the whole point is that there's so many fields that you can engage in, but you can only really be completely conscious 100% in about 3 of them. So, we went through a big question round in our jiu-jitsu club. So I asked, okay, if you were going to describe yourself with 3 things, what would those 3 things be? And consistently, all of my best competitors, one of their top 3 was competitor. Whereas a lot of people who are trying to be competitors, they had it at like 5th, 6th, 7th. So what was my advice to them, Marit?
They shouldn't compete.
They shouldn't compete. And they should do jiu-jitsu and they should enjoy. Yeah, and they can do a competition here or there, but they shouldn't be burning themselves or their family or their higher priorities doing competition. They're wasting their time. So, one of the great jiu-jitsu fighters of all time named Marcelo Garcia talked about this in one of the interviews. And he said that, you don't understand. There's so many people who put 90% of the effort that's necessary in. And he said there's 10% left, but they're not able or willing, and usually willing, to put that last 10% in. And that last 10% is the difference between doing good and being the best. So the question is, of course, you look at this as an evolutionary thing. It's worth it doing it anyway because you grow as a person and you've applied yourself and you stay in great shape and blah, blah, blah. But the whole point is that if your goal is truly to be the best in the world, putting in 90% is not enough. And it's wasted time if your goal is to become best in the world, right? So the whole idea is to be able to give yourself that latitude, give yourself the opportunity to go all in 3 areas of your life. And the other things, it's not like, oh, then I can't ever talk to my friends anymore, or oh, I can't go to work because if my top priority is to be a good husband and it's to be a competitor and it's to look great, then I'm going to have an issue because then I don't have time for anything else. That's not the case. Because as we talked about with Gro Marit Istad Christiansen, the gold medalist in the World Championship, Olympic athlete.
In biathlon.
Which is skiing and shooting for those of you that live in a country with lots of sand. It is interesting because she said that she would sometimes have to go out with her friends and relax so that she would be best at training the next day. So you still have to have these other things in your life, these other elements. You have a job, you have a family, you have friends that you need to take care of, and they also take care of you. And sometimes you need to be pulled away from the competition mentality and think about something else. You need rest.
It's not about going Turkey on stuff necessarily.
It's not exactly. Going 100% in on something.
It is about the moderation and about figuring out if your goal is to be the best kindergarten teacher there is. Well, thinking about work all the time will not necessarily give you that.
That's it.
Doing things on your free time that gives you energy. If you're involved, could be walking in the mountains, stuff like that. You should prioritize that because that would then make you better at work.
Yeah, that's it.
But if you work as a kindergarten teacher and would like to be the best there, maybe sitting on the couch eating chips and watching Vampire Diaries is not the thing that actually will make you better in your job.
That's true.
So it is about how you modify the times also outside to be better at what you're going to do.
That's it. Because I have to be prepared to give my best at training. So, that's it's interesting because John Smith, one of the great American wrestlers who invented the low single leg takedown, he had gotten a lot of attention from Nike and from other sponsors like Asics and stuff. And he was making a lot of money, like a whole lot of money. But he kept himself to $100 a week in his budget because he knew that as soon as he got all this money, his mindset would change. And he knew that the mindset that he had and the routines that he had made him the best. So he would very often, if he was hanging out with his friends, he would hang out with his friends, but after they go home and watch TV, he would go to the gym and he would do an hour of takedowns, or he'd do an hour of wrestling movements or whatever. Or he would do what was necessary, go to bed early. Sometimes that's the thing, So he would always get what he needed for his training. And again, what is needed for the training. So doing everything to become best doesn't mean the total exclusion of the other things, because let's say that you have a wonderful wife at home and you want to become the best at work. Great. But what happens when your wife starts to get passive aggressive and starts to sabotage you and starts to get upset and, has 17 lovers and, is using your credit cards? And, the question is that going to be good for your focus at work? No. Maybe taking care of her enough so that she feels like she has a fulfilling life so that you then can have her support to go to work is interesting. Right? So that's the whole thing. It's to look at your life through the lens of how can I make my life give my 3 things more energy, more focus, more support. Now that's the mastery. That's the mastery of arranging your life. But then we come back to something else. I get to hang out with some really cool people. One of them, and my favorite one, being MTG, my favorite modern philosopher, sitting next to me, Marit Gabrielsen.
Yeah, you don't have to say my name every time.
Yeah, but people don't know who MTG is.
Well, you mention it every episode.
Yeah, right?
I think they're catching up to it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point is that I also get to hang out with other really cool people. So I've been going on surf trips with some really interesting, highly educated, highly developed human beings. And one of them was Tarja Håkansson. And if you guys don't know who that is, he's like a legend in snowboarding. He's the surfer god of surfer gods, but in snowboard. Okay, so every record, and he's still active now, and every record in snowboarding, every person who's ever snowboarded basically looks up to this guy. And he was sitting with me and he was showing me some footage of a commercial they were going to put out. And I just thought this was really interesting because he's like, oh, watch this. And it was amazing because he was flying through the forest. And what you guys don't know if you're not on snowboard or skis, the forest is dangerous because you're going fast and there are branches and roots that can catch your snowboard.
And you don't know if the snow is rotten there.
Yeah, you don't know if it's
around the tree, because that could be that it's firm and then just around the tree it just gives.
Yeah, exactly, because it's warmer actually near the tree.
Have an issue.
You have an issue. And he's doing all these really cool things, and he does like some flips in the forest, and he's doing some turns, and he's making a really sharp turn out onto the normal piece where it's prepared. And he said, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "No, it's fucking amazing. It's like, it's unbelievable." And he's like, "No, did you see the tree?" And I'm like, "No, man, I don't see the tree." And he goes back and I look at the tree and I see all these marks on the tree. He kind of expands it, and I'm like, "What's that?" And he goes, Count the marks. Count the marks." And I'm like, "Okay, 13. He said, "Yep, 13. And I'm like, "So?" He said, "How many times do you think that I had to film this commercial through the forest in order to get that?" And I'm like, 14. And he said, "Yeah, 14. I made it on the last one." He said that the tricks through the forest there are so demanding, and the turn with that much speed on the way out is so hard that I missed it that many times. And he said, the difference between me and everybody else is they would have tried 3 times and then stopped. But I am Tarja Håkansson. I knew I was going to make it. That's the difference. So it's about taking that step further because you believe in yourself, not because you believe in the turn, but because you believe in yourself and that you're going to make it happen somewhere or other. It's kind of like if a bird lands on a branch, it doesn't believe in the branch. It just knows that it can fly if the branch breaks. And that's the point. That's the healthy ego. That this will happen. I will find a way regardless. When you have that, then you become a legend. That's the difference between even being best and being legendary. Because it's like, of course you're going beyond where everybody else is. Because you're you. But is it possible? Of course, because it's you. So when you choose your 3 places, your 3 areas that you're going to be amazing, excellent at, choose to be best and work towards legendary. Work towards being the person who is established in yourself, established in the knowledge that you need, connected and aware so much that, when you come to that point where nobody knows and you're on equal footing and you're going to take it one step further.
But do you really think people have this?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't, I do not, my experience is that if you talk to people, maybe not, I don't know people listen to this podcast, but people that should be listening to this podcast, they don't have that, because it's fine if you are competitor or something. It's pretty simple because that's what you're doing. If it's soccer or jiu-jitsu or snowboarding, but if you are a normal person, I don't think people have defined 3 roles.
Oh, no. I thought you
That's
meant
the thing.
the legendary mindset for legendary people. No, okay, yeah.
No, if
have
you
the
if
idea
you are
about 3 people. No,
if
they
you
don't.
are
Or-
doing basketball,
Yeah.
and of course, because it's a very specific thing. If you are in soccer, you have the world championship. If you are a biathlon, you have the Olympics. If you are it's an American football player, you have NBA. Like, you have very big goals that are easy to find, because they're so built into the sport that if you're going to do basketball, you want to be like Michael Jordan. But if you're a normal person that don't do athletics, how do you do this then? Because I find that if I ask people that I know that not have that's not in my normal group, they do not even think about this sort of stuff. They do not have 3 areas in their life that they're conscious about. At
That's
least
correct.
they do not have any mindset about being anything.
Exactly. That's
So
correct.
to be legendary is absurd, because they don't even think about being,
Yeah, well that's
or they don't think they are. They just are.
well that's the whole
You're
point.
walking around like a zombie, because
That's just what I do.
this is what I do. You wake up,
Yeah.
you go to work, whatever that is. You go home, you take your kids out of kindergarten, you play with them, you go to bed.
Yeah.
And then you plan with your husband or wife to go to somewhere, Cyprus during the summer,
Yeah.
or the cabin, but I don't see most people having any kind of focus.
No.
You're just doing what everybody else is doing, and you're wandering around.
Yeah. That's it. That's
So how can you need normal people to use this? Because
yeah.
most people do not do athletics like we've been doing it.
No. That's true.
Most people are not Tayo Håkansson. Most people are not Martista Christiansen. That's not most people.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. So what you do, and that's I thank you for the question.
Yeah, because
What
we can't
what you
just
do-
say you become legendary. And
Yeah.
I'm a stay-at-home
Yeah.
mom. I don't even know where I should start looking.
So what you do is you go to the integrated human and start upgrading yourself and getting perspective. You listen to the Big and Small podcast, and you hang around with good people. That's the whole point, because the people out there who want to make that change are looking, they're hungry for that resource. And that's what we are. We're basically the door for them to walk through to their own personal evolution. That's what we've done, and we've gotten the results, right? We are the result. We are the result. Most people who are trying to sell you development or perspective or their books or their tools or whatever, you look at them and are like, okay, show me the result. Well, we can do that, the concrete result. And I have students that have gotten the result. That's the whole point. And most people walk around and don't understand that they could be a better mom or dad, or understand that they could be not just a better mom and dad, but a better mom and dad and be less stressed.
Yeah, but I don't think people even think about
No, they're
being
just-
better.
No, that's the whole point.
You know?
Many don't. Many don't have that impulse. They just want to have somewhat the same as the neighbor. They want to walk around and have
I think
somewhat the
it's
same.
even, I'm very, very, very negative. I don't think people even know that. I don't think people know what they want. Period. I don't think they know they're subconscious.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Unconsciously or subconsciously. Yeah.
I think that no. I think that 95% or whatever personal words. I think that no, because your behavior shows that. But I don't think people consciously know.
Well, that's the thing. They don't consciously necessarily know what they want ultimately in their life to be the dream Jason or the dream Audit or the dream Frank or whatever I did. You do. That's awesome. Most people don't dare to say that this is what I want and I'm taking that shit.
No, they're terrified
Yeah,
of
well,
saying that
yeah.
they want anything.
Yeah, that's it.
And saying, I want what you have.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, you can't say that.
Yeah.
I don't want his stuff. I just want the same,
same
the
stuff.
same stuff.
Yeah, I want the same stuff.
I also want
Yeah.
a pizza oven. I don't want to steal his.
Yeah, right? That's it. And you don't also want to break his so he can't have his.
No,
That's
because
also stupid.
I just also want one.
You also want one. And that's the thing that's going to happen. But jealousy, people wonder what jealousy is about. Jealousy is the first idea that you would rather be having or doing or being something else than what you are. It's the lowest form of admiration. It's the lowest form of moving towards something. And everybody has jealousy. Everybody has envy. Envy and jealousy, it's like, shit, oh, I want a car like that. And then you start moralizing and judging over that horrible guy who has the car.
Because of
and he's
course
such a
he
piece of
can't
shit.
be.
He can't
He
be.
doesn't take care of the environment. You do because you have a Leaf.
Of course.
And he doesn't because he drives this
whatever,
truck.
the truck or, whatever it is. And of course he has to have cheated many people to get that much money. And he's probably not a good guy. And he doesn't care about.
And the way he walks is definitely
bunnies.
Not healthy.
He probably steps on fluffy bunnies every time he can. And he probably, he's an evil dude. But that unfortunately is where most people stop. They start to moralize at that person instead of saying, you know what? I'm going to be honest with myself. I kind of want a car like that, or I want to have enough economy that I could get the car if I wanted. Like I could have any car I wanted. But what did I get?
Leaf.
Yeah. And who ordered it for me?
I did.
Yeah. And what did I say? I wanted it what? Pimped out.
Pimped out.
Now, pimp out my Leaf, right? Because I wanted a nice car, but I didn't want to spend lots of money on it. I wanted it to be environmentally friendly, and I want something.
You don't drive that much.
I don't really drive that much. I fly. We work really like intensely where we work, and I don't have a long transport time from where I'm working. So there's no reason for me to get myself a Ferrari or a Learjet, a helicopter, all these weird things that people want in their fantasies. It's like, no, get something practical, but you want the ability to buy the thing that you want. That's the thing, right? But most people stop at the moralization of the thing that they see or the sabotage of the thing they see. That's the next level because at least they're engaging with it instead of just moralizing. And then the next thing after that is like, you know what? Let me try to figure out what that guy's doing that's been successful for him. And then maybe he can teach me or I can learn that somewhere. And then after that, it's like, well, you know what? I'm going to take that. I'm going to improve it. Maybe there's some things about it that he's doing that I don't like. Like I don't want to step on fuzzy bunnies. I want to be nice to people. I want to see if I can do things in an environmental way. But maybe I can have the same things-ish. And then suddenly, not only are you better, but everybody around you better because you're better, right? So the whole point is that until we start to wake up and look at things around us and realize that maybe other people have it better, like those people over there, they look like they're doing the same stuff as me, but it doesn't look like they're completely wired and stressed out. How are they doing that? Oh, well, they don't care about their kids. They're obviously cheating and not going to work. They're obviously whatever, instead of just saying, maybe I should ask them, like, you guys look great.
I think also if you look at people and when we say look at you want the same things as them, I find it, and we often talk about this because it's very simple. They have the car that you want, therefore you want to ask them. But it also look at the persons. Not that you should interrogate people and ask them, so how's your personal life? But
No.
you get if you meet people, you have an impression about how their personal life is. So if you look at Donald Trump, he has a lot of material stuff. I don't know the dude, but from what I can see, it doesn't look like he has the best mental, emotional health.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Maybe wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think he thinks he's amazing.
If I get the Secret Service, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, look at the holistic picture. If you're going to want what people want, look at what they have. Not just the car, but if the person walks out of the car and it doesn't look like he's walking very healthy, something went wrong there. Like if he's barely, we have these people, we were looking at sitting in a cafe and Skrot in Vangen, and we had this big, Porsches are not big, it was a Porsche parked outside. And this dude comes out of it, and he can barely get out of it.
It's like, why would you have a car you can't get out of?
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He looks very cool sitting in it because the car is low and he's sitting low in it. But then he's gonna get out, and you just sit there and you go, I can't stop watching this because it doesn't make sense. That you bought this car because you can't get out of the car because the steering wheel is in the way. And I
Yeah.
can't understand how your feet can touch the brakes.
Yeah.
And then he's been successful somewhere in his life, but somewhere it has kind of
Fallen too far.
fallen too far. So I think also you should see it the big picture and like the outside inside.
Yeah, well, that's I understand what you're saying, and that's kind of what we were talking about. Like if you, the example that I brought up, that if you're so focused at your work that you're not taking care of your wife enough, then what's going to happen is she's going to create a reason for you to focus on her, and that may not be positive. And
Most likely not.
yeah, and so taking care of the aspects of your life that support your focus is very important. It's not about cutting things completely away, but it's about managing your life in a way that gives you energy for what you want to focus on. That's the major thing. So let's say that you're a big businessman, but you have completely dropped your body. Yeah, maybe you have lots of money, but now you have cardiovascular sickness and
diabetes.
you're super overweight and you have a hard time getting out from under your steering wheel when you're getting out of your Porsche or your Ferrari. That's an issue. I'm just saying it's an issue.
It's not, then you can't enjoy all the work you did for a very long time, most likely.
That's the whole point. Exactly. And it's not like we're saying how people should look. That's not, it has nothing to do with
the look. It has to do with
like,
function.
Yeah. Are you healthy or are you not healthy? You can be big and healthy or you can be not big and healthy. So, the whole point is that being able to support, for example, your friends enough so that when you want to focus on your stuff and you need focus and attention and support from your friends, that they're there. That's one thing that, a lot of people miss out on. They get old and they've been so effective with their life that they have no friends left because they've just dropped everybody. And I can't say that I'm always the best one about that because I've been very, very, very active, but I still have the people who are really close to me, right? And that's the thing, that support those people, be loyal to those people, because when you then need that extra push, they're there.
But when you're gonna start looking at where to focus, if you're gonna find your three things, where do you start without getting in the trap of, well, then I have to be, because if I'm gonna say the stereotypical thing for me would be, I need to be a good sister, a good daughter, and a good wife. Mm-hmm. Well, none of those are my top three.
No,
actually,
they can't.
But society would tell me that should be my focus.
Should. Yeah.
They are not my focus at all.
Yeah, that's it.
Far from it.
Yeah.
So, because I know what I want.
Yeah.
But when you are a person that don't know what you want yet, where do you start without getting into the trap of saying sister, daughter, wife?
Yeah. Well, first of all, just maintaining your relative stable, healthy living is a win. Meaning that if you have a job and you don't know if that's your dream job, don't quit it just because you don't know. You need to pay your bills.
Yes.
If you already have children, you've made a decision about something, don't screw that up. Don't do anything drastic until you really know what direction you want to go. And then I ask myself, when I look back at myself, what do I want to have accomplished? What do I want to have experienced? What is it that I will be proud of being able to say, when I was 30, or when I was 40, when I was 50, when I look at myself, what would I want to have experienced, given, and taken? If you're a young man and you're full of testosterone, just ask, what would your super self want? Because that's the way to talk to yourself. But if you're of the female persuasion and you are over, or you're a man that's over 35, you can ask yourself, what would make me proud? What would really make me proud when I look back at myself and I'm 50 and I'm doing my stuff and I say, what? When I was 30, I did this. That's what you should go for, right? And it doesn't mean you should stop everything and just be you, and you is to hang out for 6 months on naked beaches in Spain or whatever. I mean, that's not what we're talking about. Would you be really proud of yourself when you look back at yourself then?
Could be something you did.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that that's what you should be.
That's not your thing. And we're not talking about the whole amazing vacation. I'm just going to live on vacation the rest of my life. Because guess what? Anything you do for more than 3 months just becomes normal, right? Achieve something. Get yourself an education. Become good at it.
And why a break is good is because of the relative change.
That's the relative change is the big thing, right? And when I say get an education, it doesn't mean necessarily go to school. Hang out with good people who can give you something. Upgrade yourself by hanging out with people who you admire and that you want to be like. That's important. You can work together towards something, right? So like Marit was talking about, you see some people who are moms and dads, and they're killing it. They look great. They look happy. Their kids are good. Weirdly enough, if you appreciate somebody for being good at something, you often can just ask them how they're doing it, and they'll do everything they can to tell you how and to share with you and even invite you into their life so that you can upgrade. The weird thing is that people want to share their success. So find yourself a mentor, find yourself a person that's already blazed a trail and follow them. Ask them questions. It's not about being better than them and separating. Let them share or taking from them. It has nothing to do with taking their stuff. In fact, if you do, you'll lose it. Why is it? Because their stuff comes from who they are. So become like them and you will get that stuff. That was one of those interesting things that I learned from Terry Håkansson. And I said, well, how do you know you're going to win? He said, because I'm Terry Håkansson, man. The same thing with Donald Trump, actually. There's one of these iconic things from one of his books, and I only read the first book, and I learned 2 things from that book. I'll share them just because we mentioned Donald Trump, and we don't want the Secret Service to throw us in jail. So I'll say something good about the guy. But anyway.
I said he had a lot of material stuff.
Yeah, he does. He does. But at one point, he had borrowed so much money from the banks that they brought him into a meeting and said, yeah, looks like you lost all our money, Mr. Trump. So what are we going to do? And he goes, I don't know. What are you going to do? If I were you, I would loan me more money so I can go make it back. And they did. It's insane. But he had that much leverage. He'd loaned that much money, and the banks were completely overextended. So it's like, okay, we can either lose all this money. It was like $1 billion, or I don't know how many millions. It was $500 million. It was so enormous amount of money. And he said, yeah, I don't have a problem. You have a problem, banks. So, and he was walking on the street, and there was a beggar asking for $1. And he looked at the beggar, and he realized that beggar was almost almost $1 billion richer than him. Right? And that's weird. When a beggar on the street begging for money is like $500 million or $1 billion. I can't remember exactly how much money it was, but it was insane. It was so much money that it's hard to even, think about. And that beggar's richer than you. And he's like, yeah, but I'm going to make it back. Why? Because I'm Donald Trump. Damn. That's legendary. And you guys got to understand something. If you look at some of the old weird ass commercials that he used to make with the crazy lawyer that he's been hanging out with, they did department store commercials in New York that were absolutely absurd. I mean, ridiculous. And you look at that, where they came from, and the fact that he became president, then you understand that that's legendary. It's legendary. So having that belief in yourself and becoming the person that can do that. Now, this is a hard thing to talk about, but it's also a very esoteric and good thing to talk about. And you'll understand why I bring this up in a moment. So I'm going to ask my favorite modern philosopher, is it free choice or is it destiny?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. It's both. And you're like, well, what do you mean? Of course I'm making my own decisions. Or if you're in the destiny camp, then it's, no, it's just destiny,
Everything's destiny.
Stuff just happens to me and that's what it is, and I just, but the whole point is that you are a perfect representation of your environment, your genes, everything that built you. Mm-hmm. So if I, Jason Shields, had been put in exactly the same situation as you and had the same background and had the same experiences and had eaten the same thing for lunch and has the same clothes on me and the same amount of money in my bank account and was presented with a opportunity, I would treat that opportunity exactly like you would. Mm-mm. Because I'm you. And you make the decision to do something, your free choice is based on who you are. And who you are is destiny. Because all of the things, including the movement of the planets in the universe and the gravitational pull of the ocean when you were born, and all of these things have conspired
against you. No, sorry.
To create the magnificent you.
And it's actually for you, not against you.
But weirdly enough, at the same time, who you are determines what you get. Which means if you wake up at this moment listening to this podcast and realize that you can actually choose to see things a different way, you can choose different paths in your life, you can get completely different outcomes than your sister or your brother or your mama or your dad or your teacher or your preacher. So, people are saying, yeah, but that's just what I do. That's just who I am. Yes. Well, until you decide to change what you believe is your limitation, that's correct. You're 100% correct.
Because that is just who you are.
Exactly. But if you open the door to something in your environment, like the Big and Small podcast, like the integrated human meditation events, like Dr. Joe Dispenza's events and books,
Tony Robbins,
God, there's so many things. There's so many things. You open your life to that expands your consciousness just a little bit. You can get a much better outcome, a much better result from your efforts.
But that means that you may have to change.
You may have to change
a thought or a pattern that you have, and that's not simple.
That's it. That's it.
That's a challenge.
It is. And
it's actually going to require some changes, maybe.
Yeah.
And we hate changes.
Yeah, change is one of the biggest stressors in life. That's what we fear the most, actually.
Remember when COVID happened, how stressed people were?
It's crazy.
Remember when COVID ended, how stressed people were?
Yeah, it's like, exactly. We had a friend who's like, I can't believe they're keeping me at home. I'm just freaking out because they won't let me work for my living and I want to work for the money that I get.
They're paying me because you work in the government in Norway. Yeah. They don't stop your money. If you work in the private sector, you have to go in the
welfare system.
But if you work in the government, you don't, even when you don't work. So he was sitting at home, getting fully paid, not doing anything, and was freaking out.
Yeah. And then after 6 weeks of this, when they were going to ask him to go to work 30%, he was freaking out because they're going to put me at work
for 30%.
30%? That's horrible. When my other colleagues aren't working, I don't understand why I have to work when nobody else is working. Wrecks my day because I have all my, started planning his life around being
not working,
parked in COVID, right? That's the whole point, So change is difficult and change can be radical, but you don't actually have to be the person you were yesterday. You can choose not to be grumpy as fuck when you wake up in the morning. Yeah, but I feel grumpy as fuck.
That's who I am.
That's just who I am. Everybody's told me since I was a kid that don't talk to me until 12 o'clock because I'm grumpy. Really? Take a fucking shower and drink a cup of coffee and realize that you have to be ready to go when your feet hit the ground. Because I do, and I can tell you from all the battles I've been through, I'm a little groggy in the morning, man. I can't even put two words together until I get the motor running. But I do what I need to do in order to get my motor running so I don't have to suffer through the first half of my day. That's the whole point. Because being grumpy as fuck is bad for everybody around you or worse for you.
It's actually worse for you.
It's worse for you.
Because everybody around you treats you as a grumpy as fuck.
That's it. Everybody, Yeah, right? And that's the whole point. What you radiate matters because people will treat you accordingly. What you are able to see around you as opportunity will give you different paths. If I don't take the conversation I need with people, then I get lots of emotional charge that I don't get to release, which means that I then go and carry that with me every time I'm around that person, which makes it shitty and exhausts me. So you want to be clear and clean with the people around you. So taking the conversations with people, and it could well be that they tell you you're wrong about what you were thinking, and it's all a misunderstanding and everybody's happy. Could very well be that you have the confrontation, you realize this is not the place I want to work anymore, or this is the place I do want to work. This is a good person, and this is for sure the place I want to work the rest of my life, because this is amazing and something you didn't know before you took the conversation. So what are the things in your everyday life that you think you have to do just because that's the way you are, that's the way things are? So if you sit down and write down a list of, this is the way things are, this is the way I am, and see if you can change a couple of them and see what happens in your life. See if
just see what comes up. I think it's a very good task.
Yeah.
Because that's just who I am. I'm just angry, I'm just happy, or I'm always smiling. Like, write down and see what pops up.
Yeah.
I think it may surprise you how many thoughts you have about who you are.
Yeah.
Or what you do. Like, I always get wet when it rains. Because you don't wear a raincoat.
Yeah, exactly. Raincoat, bro.
Yeah, but how many of these, which is ridiculous, if it rains, bring a raincoat. But if you're the person that doesn't wear a raincoat because they're not cool,
yeah,
you get wet. And you don't understand why you get wet. So
I never get invited to parties.
Well, you don't have any places where people can contact you because you decided to, I'm not going to be on any social media, I'm not going to answer my phone, and I'm going to live in a cave.
Yeah.
You're not going to get invited to parties.
Yeah, and then get your feelings hurt because nobody invites you.
And then you're lonely.
Right? It's like there's so many of those things that we do unconsciously, and we don't understand that, well, other people don't have it like I have it. So why not? Instead of just saying, well, that's them because they must be some so and so. You know, they step on fuzzy bunnies on the way to work. That's why it's like that. They're sacrificing to the old gods or whatever they're doing to get what they're...
Fuzzy bunnies.
Yeah, fuzzy bunnies. Right? So...
So write down all the things you think you are. I think it's a good task.
Yeah. And the way you are, because that's just the way I am. And also, if you want to get extra credit, everybody wants some extra credit, the way things are, the way it is.
Business people must be bad to environment.
Yeah. I talked to this girl one time, and she's like, yeah, that guy drives a nice car. Fuck him. And I'm like, what? So describe the kind of guy you want. Oh, guy who takes care of me, and guy is like, he's exciting and funny, and he cares, he wants to listen, and he likes to cuddle, and that he's stable. And I said, so do you want to live in a house? Yeah. I want a house. Well, do you want a little house or a big house? Well, I'd like a comfortable house. Okay. And we started describing the house, and I'm like, don't you think your guy living in a house like that's going to have a nice car? And she's like, fuck that guy. I'm like, really? Because her dad, of course, had worked very hard his whole life and provided a very solid, good living for her and her siblings, but they didn't have a lot of money. And then they kind of moralized, unfortunately, in the family over people who were successful economically, but maybe didn't have as good of a home life. Maybe, who knows? Who knows?
Maybe that's they had everything. Thing. We don't know.
We don't know.
That's the whole thing. We don't know.
We don't know. Could be that they had everything. But the whole point is that, you, instead of saying that, well, let's try to figure out who these people are, it was easier to moralize. But then that could have kind of put a mark on her life so that she couldn't then accept a successful partner.
Because he must then be shitty.
He must be shitty because he has a nice car. And it's like, and not all successful people have super nice cars. I have a Nissan Leaf. I think it's a nice car.
And some people has a very nice car, like Sif.
Yeah, like my wife. She has a very, 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 very nice car. Yeah, she does. And she drives it around very proudly.
Very proudly.
And once in a while, I get to drive it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the thing. I think do that task, just writing it down, is very interesting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the kicker is all of that is false.
Yeah. All the stuff that you think is pretty false.
But write it down first.
Yeah, you got to write it down.
Because you need to see the limits you put on yourself and others and the world and everything.
Absolutely.
And it's, you think you don't have any, well, surprise. I had a lot.
Yeah, right. In the beginning, everybody has a lot before you break down the doors in your own mind.
Then you get pissed that I don't have any. Well, there you have one.
There you have one. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't have any limits. Well, that's my first one. I don't do that. Well, there you have the second one.
Exactly.
I don't want to do that because I'm not that. Okay, that was number 3.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And interestingly enough, if you pick something like, I don't drive, I don't wear expensive clothes. That's just not what I do. I don't waste money on expensive clothes. Very interesting exercise. Write down people who spend money on expensive clothes are what?
What are they?
What are they? Right? And then you get to see what kind of limit, like what kind of labels you put on them.
And this is the reason why you should do this is not to feel bad about yourself.
No.
Is to actually get your head out of the bubble and see where how small you're making yourself.
How small you're making yourself.
And
That's
we don't want
beautiful.
you to be small. We want you to be enormous. We want you to be legendary.
Legendary.
And to be
Not even
legendary,
best. Legendary.
you have to get rid of all those beliefs about who you are and what is.
That's it.
And this slides actually very nice into the end because we have a surprise for the people that have been following us for a while. Unfortunately, this is for people that has been to have been to a course or two of us. We're gonna actually start working this with them now the fall. So if you didn't get on this meditation event, you missed out. But we're gonna send up one new after Christmas also.
That's true. It's
So
completely full, guys. I'm sorry. There's no more places left. So,
but we are expanding this, so you're not gonna be
left behind.
Left behind, and this is the stuff we're gonna work with together.
Yes.
So instead of sitting at home with your list alone, you can sit with your list with us.
Become legendary.
Yes.
That's right. That's awesome.
More information later.
Yes. So remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.